We should be live.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Let me refresh.
Let me check on my phone too.
Oh, oh, hey y'all.
Okay, they can see us now.
Where did I go? It stopped.
Oh, it
It was
stopped?
like on for a second. Yeah. Oh wait. Whoops. Just kidding.
Okay, I see.
I need to refresh my end. Y'all, I was on the struggle bus. We were on the struggle bus. Oh no, it keeps doing that. But anyway, we are live. How are we over there, editor?
Doing well. Just
Doing well.
watching my basketball team suck it up. That's about it.
Who's your basketball team?
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Your 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 your
I
your team is doing good in Portland. You guys are 3-0.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's news to me.
yeah, you beat the Lakers yesterday. It was a huge fuss up about it.
Well, with sports, there's a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
Lots of feelings. But we should probably do an introduction, an off-key introduction. So, welcome to Therapy Talk for those who are here and those who stuck around for the technical issues we were having. My name is Pauline. Tammy is on a much needed vacation. Like, when I say much needed, she may have to tell us how her trip went, why it was such a much needed vacation some other time. We were going to like not have this live, but we figured since we have the moment. Oh God, since we have the momentum, we should keep it going, and I have the time, and so we are going to do it anyway. And so the editor and I, aka my cousin, so he and I are just gonna do this, right?
Right.
Which initially, I well not initially. So um, you were asking me a question, which is, what are we gonna do today, or do I have any questions? So weeks ago, that's no, not weeks ago. Time has been very weird lately. How am I doing? I'm doing well, but I've been very spacey with time. So it's officially cold here in Oregon,
Hmm.
which is very much late. One thing that happened is summer started very late, and now fall has started very late too. So we've had a lot of rain over the weekend, which has been nice. It's cold, so kind of like getting into the it's officially fall
Okay.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's nice. How's the
because
Go
I
ahead.
remember last week, was it Tuesday or Monday? I think it was a Monday. It was like 45 degrees outside. It was so random because like the day before it was like 100. And then
Okay, in Texas,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And I remember Bobby comes to me and she's like, "Why is it so cold?" And this is me. I have no idea. I thought the AC was on, and I was like, "Nah,
Oh.
that's off." And I usually sleep with a fan, but like, she wouldn't feel it in her room. So when I stepped outside, I was like, "Yeah, it's really cold outside."
Yeah, that's a big drop from 100 to 45.
Yeah.
Like,
Then after
that's how you get all messed up.
Yeah, then after that, it hasn't been cold like that again. So I don't know. That run
Hmm.
day was random and strange. So I was like, hmm.
Yeah. I know I was talking to my mom this morning and her AC is out, whatever the reason is. But she also said, thankfully, it's not hot. The temperature has cooled down a bit. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm just glad it's getting cold again. Because I hate the heat in
Yeah.
Texas. It's too much.
I certainly do not miss that. So I love living here for many reasons. However, the rain does get very old.
Yeah,
It
I
gets
cannot
really
deal with
old.
when I was in Nacogdoches at SFA, that place made me hate rain because I would have to walk to class in the rain. And then over there, when it rained, it's like death levels of rain. Like they
Right.
cancel classes. I didn't even know that on my first day it happened. I'm walking to class, it starts raining hard, and the police stops me. Was like, "Why are you going to class?" I'm like, What do you mean? He's like, do you not see the weather? In my head, I didn't think you would cancel, class for a raid. And he's like, it's gonna
Right.
flood. And he's like, you should get back to your dorm, and I did. And then it starts to pour like crazy. And I was like, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's Texas rain is definitely like
Oh, what happened?
phone call. Sorry, y'all. It's
Okay.
it's actually my mom. My mom is calling, y'all. We have a caller. If she were watching this live, she would know I'm not available. Mom, we're working. Um anyway, yeah, so the rain here is like drops. It's not you can't even hear it. And for after a while you don't really mind it, but when it goes on for so long, it starts to like nag. It's like a poke
Okay.
all the time. It's like, okay, it's drizzling. Yeah, it's drizzling all the time. That's what it is.
Okay, that one I can deal with. But the rain in Nacogdoches, it's like somebody's
Right.
punching you. It's like it's too much.
It's hard rain. You're like your windshield wiper doesn't help. That's the
Yeah.
type of rain Texas has.
Yeah. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I don't miss that at all. Although we did need the rain. Something fun I did do over the weekend. So since I've moved, I now have, and I actually didn't tell y'all I moved. So this is my new office space. Maybe one day I'll give y'all a tour. But since I moved, I have the house came with a garden bed, which I'm so excited about because I've been wanting to grow stuff. I'm like your mom. I love growing some pepper. I want to grow some peppers, some herbs, and all of that. But I don't know anything about when to grow stuff or even how to grow stuff. But what I do know and what I did do is I borrowed some gardening tools from a friend and I got into that garden bed and kind of turned the soil, picked out old things that were growing in it, and then like really made it nice and prepped it for all the rain we're gonna have. That soil was like really, really dry.
Here's an idea for content.
Okay.
You
All
could
right.
make a virtual diary about you learning how to garden.
Where's my notepad? Yes, editor. Since you're not impressed with the content I'm sending you.
I never said that. I never said
Oh,
that.
you don't have to say that. We're Africans. We don't say what we actually should say out loud, but we know.
No, I said it doesn't seem like something you enjoy. I never said.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Sure. I'm sure we can play back some of our previous lives and you can say competition is on. Something along those lines.
I mean, it's the truth.
It is the truth. I take it. I'm not at all. Yeah, whatever.
Okay,
It's content.
let's move to a
Let's
different
move to
topic.
a different topic. Okay, thank you for keeping me in line.
So,
Okay.
oh, my
Mm-hmm.
bad. You go first.
Well, I was gonna say what today's session is about, and I have put probably a week ago on Facebook a question of the day, which is if you had a question, if you could ask a therapist any question, what would it be? And this idea came to me, I don't know, probably in my sleep or while I was supposed to be paying attention to something. It's like, oh, well, this would be kind of cool just to hear what people have and what they may want to ask. Well, guess how many questions I got?
How many?
None. I didn't get any questions, but that's okay because the internet is forever. I looked up some questions
Okay.
and I'm going to
Actually,
assume this is what people want to know.
I actually have a question for you. It's not about since you're a therapist. Have you seen what's going on with Kanye West?
Oh yeah, I hear. I mean, I don't get deeply involved as far as like I don't actively look for it.
Mm-hmm.
However, yes, I hear about it because it's hard to avoid when other media or social media talks about it or other like shows that I listen to would mention him.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, and also that podcast, not a podcast, that the Breakfast Club video you sent me about. What's his name again?
What is his name?
How did I forget his name already?
It
Hold on,
was one of the best ones I have listened to.
hold on. Let me look it up on my phone. I want to give this
Yeah, what's your question around that one?
how he talked about how black people have to have, white allies to fix racism and stuff like Roland Martin. That's his name. Yes,
Yes.
yes, Roland Martin, and he was talking about how he feels that black people in this country are, how do I say this? They have to semi also fight for themselves to achieve stuff. He was talking about very deep stuff I never,
Really considered.
yeah. Because he's
Like,
he's still concerned that we're black people in this country don't have knowledge or information.
mm,
Not everybody. It's like a small section, and that's why we
yeah.
haven't achieved anything. That's what he said basically.
Yeah, and then he also mentioned how we don't really work together.
Yes, that.
Yeah, and I agree with that for sure. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, not kind of, it is unfortunate that as a whole, we say, oh yeah, we want all these changes, but within our system, we don't really help each other.
No.
And that's really sad.
Yeah, I remember he was talking about how I don't think we said Asian or Jewish, but like when they come over here, like they'll open up a business and then to help each other, everybody else they know start a business. He said that usually never
Yes.
happens in the black community, if I remember. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And I agree. That's a hard truth. I've experienced it myself. I've seen it firsthand. So we don't, and it's not to say they're not. I've been helped by people like me, and I recognize those people. And I've also been, um, what's, I'm trying to find the right word. I've also not been helped. How about that? I'll just use proper words or be mindful with my words by people like me. And it's like, all right, that's great. Not great.
okay.
Yes, I did really. I've seen him around. Can you say his name again?
Roland Martin.
Yeah. So I've seen like I know his face, but I didn't really know what he was about until I watched um that episode and I was like, "Oh, B would like this because you're very much into politics and
Yeah,
have a better understanding than I do."
I've seen him on CNN mostly, but I never really knew of him. But that's why I
Mhm.
mostly seen him on CNN, basically. I
Yeah, he
I didn't
spoke a lot of facts.
yeah, I didn't know he was, how do I say it, into that viewpoint basically. To me, when I saw him on TV, he just looked like every person who on politics saying
Right.
yeah. So I was shocked when he was saying all that stuff.
And there's not a lot of people who would have his type of honesty,
Yeah,
and I think I'm not speaking for him or by any means. This was my first time really hearing him speak, but hearing that episode, I think he's come a long way in like getting to a place where he's like, this is what I'm about. It's either you like it or you don't.
yeah. Basically, that's how he was
Yeah.
talking, and I was shocked.
Yeah. Like,
Uh,
okay.
I was like,
I would
wow.
like to get there someday. What am I even doing now to make it to that space
Yeah, because he also
is that's
talked
in
up.
question.
He talked about how he lost his TV show on TV1. I didn't even know that was a channel.
What? Yes, that's Martin is always on TV one.
I didn't even know that was a channel. This is me in my head. Maybe that's why he
Yes.
lost it. I never knew that was a thing. And he
Yeah.
talked about how he started his YouTube channel. Like he went
Mm.
tanning, and he said for a while he also, he talked about how at first like he wasn't really getting views, but he never gave up and kept, and
Yeah.
now he has like 1.5 million on YouTube,
Oof.
and he made that channel from what I remember 5 years ago. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and his first video popped off like in year 3, if I remember right. And I was like, wow.
Okay. That's very humbling. As you know, this has been such a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was shocked because he had production, like actual TV production and everything.
Hmm.
I was shocked it took him that long to, gain a following on YouTube.
Yeah. So he took a risk,
Yeah, he
right?
took he
That's
took a risk. Yeah,
he did take a risk getting either losing supporters and then deciding to I'm gonna do this anyway and gaining genuine supporters.
yeah.
I wonder what he say as he if he watches this clip of us talking about him.
He'd probably be excited.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, he'd be like, you have young black people trying. I can't speak right now. Trying new things out
Hmm.
and exploring, basically. Yeah, I think he'd be excited
Yes.
about it from how he was speaking. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you find this video on your YouTube suggestions, please hit play. In fact, I would love to be in a room and like just hear more from him.
Yeah,
God,
he speaks very good. I was like,
yeah,
because I remember
like
when,
good information.
yeah, because when he was on CNN, honestly, just it felt like he was just there, right? But this interview I
Hmm.
watched, I could tell he was very into what he was talking about. So I don't know. He just,
Passion,
yeah, basically, he had passion about what he was talking about.
passion. Yes, absolutely. Um, and even if you read, I don't know if you read the comments of that video specifically, but people on there were like just as like either excited, impressed, or like they wish more videos like that had more views, which I agreed. More when it becomes topics that is like that they talked about, you don't really get a lot of people watching it.
Yeah, that is true. It's just what it is. It's sad.
Hmm.
Unless it's something
Yes,
controversial, like Kanye
right.
losing his mind, nobody's gonna watch.
Well, yeah, Kanye has always been, I don't know, if you watch his time, like if you focus on his timeline, I always said like when his mother passed, Donda passed, like you can definitely see the shift in Kanye's behavior, but it's not surprising to have found out he's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder
Yeah.
and how when we hear about something he's doing, he's usually in a manic episode. And that's real. That is what bipolar is you're gonna have these extreme times where you're severely depressed. No one really would hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when people do hear from you, and I'm just making like a generalized example here, is because you're in a manic episode. And so I would say each time, okay, maybe not each time, possibly each time we hear Kanye's doing something, he's likely experiencing some mania.
I also think it's because of the woman who's leeching off him. I know her, Candace Owens. She's
Oh,
she's batshit crazy. That's all I would say.
whoa, 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 whoa.
I'm sorry, but if you watched the stuff she says, you understand why I'm saying that.
Mm,
She's very crazy.
yeah, I'm not gonna put it on mental health for people's behavior 100%. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying part of it could be that, and
Yeah.
then there's other aspects, for sure. Our environment, the people around us, various things really guide how we move oftentimes.
Yeah. Okay.
But man,
Yeah. Let's go to the questions. Let's get off this topic.
questions. Again, there are none. So what did I find on the internet? You may even think these questions are boring.
Okay.
Um, it says, um, and it says 10 questions to ask a new therapist. Am I a new therapist?
No.
Not exactly. I guess that would be a first question. When did I start doing therapy? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, if I was meeting you for the first time, I would want to know.
Okay, cool. Oh, well, that'd be cool. You're meeting me for the first time. Okay. When did I start doing therapy? So technically 2013, which was when I was my final year in grad school was 2013, which was in San Antonio.
Hmm.
And my training, I did a lot of groups, and I really do like groups. I don't do groups anymore. That makes me sad. But my experience in with therapy started with doing a weekly group with men. These are men who were court mandated actually to do a 20-week group. So you can imagine you're being told by the court system that you need to take these groups.
Yeah, I could already imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was met with a lot of resistance, but also I was met with a lot of love by the end of the 20 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I really, really like that group, those groups, just because it was challenging. It was challenging, and as a new therapist, I'm coming in here. You like in school, you learn about, oh well, you go into a room with people and you're like talking, blase, blase things you see on TV.
Hmm.
That those groups was nothing I learned in school.
No,
Nothing.
I bet.
I learned, yeah, it was the complete opposite. It was with a population that has been institutionalized in the way of like they've gone in and out of jail,
Yeah.
some even prison. And why they were in these groups that I had were because they had been abusers of some sort.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so we would learn like the cycle of abuse, power and control, even watch various movies. I was actually telling gaslight is a word that we use now, right? Like we hear more of it. But one of the movies we actually watched in that group was a movie called Gaslight, which was how I learned about that term. So Gaslight is like a movie in the 1940s
Yeah, I remember
that
that.
talked about.
I remember
Oh,
that
we did an
episode.
episode.
Yes.
Yes, that's where I learned about that movie. Then we'll watch like, ooh, we watched Crash. Do you remember that movie Crash?
Crash, crash. No, hold on. Let me look it up.
Look
Crash.
it up. That people need to watch that movie now. Why would we even watch that in a group like that? We watch.
Is
There's
it? Is it?
various messages.
Is it a Korean movie?
No, it's
Hold on, cause I see a Korean drama. Hold on, let me look it up again.
movie type movie.
Okay, I got it. I see it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't
Look
think I
at the
know what to.
cast list or the cast members.
Okay, Matt Dillon. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
I've never
Hmm.
watched this.
Yes, that is a must see. There's so many different things to get out of that movie. And so in those groups, that's we would pick, just kind of have discussions. That's why I like groups because it's more of a discussion and I'm in there listening to people's stories, their insight, their input. Rarely will I have to like even um share, but they would like to hear from me too eventually. So I would also share, but I miss those groups. It was hard work, but that's how I got started is with that. And then when I left that company, well, while I was also, once I graduated, then I got another job. So I kept that job
Hmm.
until I moved to Oregon. But then I started doing case management, and that one also not something we learned in
Hold
school.
on, my
Uh,
my my mom is calling me. I'll be back.
okay, okay, mom.
Oh, no.
Tammy, are you watching by any chance? Are you there?
Oh, it was Anna. She was just telling me she's going out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye, auntie.
she already left.
Hmm.
Well, uh, well, Gaslight, the movie you watched, reminded me of a movie that came out, I think 2014, called Gone Girl.
Oh my God.
I have never hated. an ending of a movie so much in my life. That movie made me so mad. Like
Oh yes.
I never usually get emotionally attached to movies, but that movie just I was like, yo, this cannot be happening. This is not how it ends.
Oh, oh, yeah. I don't think that's far off from reality for some people, though.
And like the way he ends it is the way he starts it just made me more mad. He starts it with her like turning around and looking at you all happy. And then at the end she turns around, looks you all happy, but you know the guy is he's fucked.
Seething.
Yes. As I was like, oh my
Hmm.
god. That movie was so
Yeah.
amazing. I was like, wow.
It was a well-written book, right? That was a book
Yeah,
before.
it was a book before, if I remember right.
Yeah. I don't think it's far off from reality,
True.
um, unfortunately. But that has bits of gaslighting, of course, various types of abuse, trauma
Mm-hmm.
bonding,
Yep.
all of that was in that movie, and I should watch it again. It's been years.
Yeah.
I watched it when it initially came out, and I was just like,
I was like, wow, I can't believe. I felt so bad for his sister too. I was like, wow.
I mean, with type things like this, people, a lot of people get involved. Sometimes we often think when we do something, it only impacts us. No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Gone Girl. You have another question for me?
Um, how do you get to like how do I say this? Get a
A
connection.
million subscribers.
No, not that, but yes.
Oh.
But yes. But how do you get a connection with somebody you're talking to?
Oh, that's a great question. That would be called therapeutic alliance, building rapport with a new individual. That takes work. Um, Believe it or not, therapy is like is a relationship of some sort. It's a therapeutic relationship. It's a professional relationship, but also you're bringing in your personality outside of like your professional round.
Mm-hmm.
So I found the best way that I'm able to connect with the new people I meet and to continue our work together is having things in common.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So relatability. So some people like to know where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, like if they're searching online, they see my profile, they see certain things I've added in my profile, and it's not that it's I'm clickbaiting, as we would say. It's more so I need to put out there like, hey, this is my education. My education is going to tell you, oh, you lived here for a bit. So it could be someone from Texas. And I've had several people who have either been to Texas or are from there and all of that. And that's how we relate because we get to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Or even my therapeutic approach, which is what type of like skills do I have that I bring into the work. So once I start talking about that, um, that's how we connect. Some people even want to know like um after a while some people like really act like how are you doing which is sweet, you know.
Yeah.
They're like I always come here, you ask me how I'm doing, but how are you? And I'm like, well, we you're here because it's your therapy session, not mine, you
Yeah.
know. But after a while you just really see like the you've built that connection with them that they genuinely want to know, are interested in how you are and stuff like that.
Oh. I always
Yeah.
wondered how, because I can't just imagine telling some, no offense, some random person I've never met all my deepest, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
And
remember,
yeah.
because remember when I was little, they tried to get me to go to a therapist when we first came here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember I went there for like, I think for a good 2 years. I really never talked to her. I always told her like, I think this is stupid, I'm wasting my time.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I will say it's a bit of like I there's being real, like people want authenticity. right? Like you've even said some of the content that we put out there. It's like you need to show vulnerability because that's what how people connect with you.
Yeah.
Clearly I still struggle with that on camera, but
Yeah.
I think I've come a long way. But in like a therapeutic space, that looks like your relatability to that person, you being real as far as like, hey, I'm a stranger and you're about to open up to me. And I really respect you. And this is a privilege for me to be in this room with you, to hear your story, to hear what's going on with you, to like you, like just saying like, I'm aware that this is weird and uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I think my problem was that it was more like a group thing. If from what I'm remembering, was other kids around my age group who were disabled. I think it was like third or
Oh,
fourth grade, but like the stuff they were talking about, I never really dealt with that at school, right? And if somebody did mess with me, I would just tell them I'll beat you up because I'm stronger than you, and I most likely was. So like I never
yes.
really had those type of problems. So when they were talking about it, I just felt a disconnect, and I told her like, if I deal with these things, I just deal with it myself. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really So I was like, I always felt out of place, and ironically,
I see.
there was a girl in that group. I met her my freshman year of high school years later, and I didn't even remember her. She remembered me. And she said, I remember how you always saying, "Oh, I don't deal with this stuff." And like when I met her in high school, she was still going through, that stuff that she was dealing with in elementary. Because for her, she was compared to my disability, like she like physically couldn't do anything, right?
I see.
Her wheelchair,
I
she
see.
she moved it with her like eyes and mouth movement, from what I remember. She could speak and
Mm,
everything, but like below her waist, she couldn't,
yeah.
below her neck, she really couldn't do anything. So I mean, we became
Mm,
very close friends, and I don't know why. Just talked to her, like gave me perspective, like that. I know it's wrong for me to say this, but I'm glad that this is my disability is not on the same level as
yeah.
her and those other kids in that room. From
In
what
that
I
room.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the problem with. They just put me there. It's like, oh, you're disabled. You probably
Yeah, they lumped you into a group.
yeah,
They lumped
basically
everyone into a group. Yeah.
yeah,
Which that in itself will be can be problematic because the group will be in a way disrupted in like the connectivity wouldn't really, it'll be hard to connect as a whole
yeah,
if one person doesn't feel like they need to be in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which was a lot of my experience with that population I worked with.
Okay.
Um, and it's also not uncommon in groups. If you don't, there needs to be a bit of willingness, whether it's group or even individual therapy. The way you and the therapist or group members will even connect will be, how did you even get here? If
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
by force, then oh no, you're not gonna connect. But if it's like, I'm willing to be here, then you've invited yourself into this space, then you're also gonna be more open.
Yeah. But I mean, it's probably different for kids because you really don't have a choice. That's what my mindset was when I was back then. You
Yeah.
kind of just have to go. Your parents will drop you off, and you're stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. That's a good question. Thanks for asking.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Trying to think of something else to ask you, but it can be something basic. I want to.
can't be like these questions I found.
Uh,
Here's one.
have you ever had somebody who is a an incel come talk to you?
Oh, okay, what's that word again?
Be basically people who think the entire world is out to get them and everybody hates
Um,
them. Like the world is not
okay.
fair.
Well, um, I mean, I think I've had a mixed. I
Okay.
wouldn't put that label on them, but I think everyone that most people that come to therapy feel like um either because of history with abandonment that the people they have in their lives are going to leave them,
Mm-hmm.
or not feeling good enough to even be in this world, be part of. Um, it's a variety.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I have one specific person, but I mean, if you think about it, as individuals, we have that thought that things are not fair sometimes. We
Well,
have that thought, we feel it.
yeah, but for I think it's a more of a Gen Z, Generation X, whatever it's called, thing because of the internet, right?
Hmm.
Like they feel trapped, and then they find a group online that has that same viewpoint, and they basically trap themselves within
Mm,
that viewpoint.
okay.
Yeah. So that's
And
why you probably haven't really met somebody like that yet.
yeah.
It's
And
a more a new thing from what I remember.
it sounds like a new thing. Like it's not a term I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I do work with a lot of my caseload right now has more Gen Z,
Mm-hmm.
more university level Gen Z. I don't work with anyone below the age of 17.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
yes, so that could be part of it.
Okay.
So I do 17 and up. 17 is more depending on when you're going to turn 18 as well.
Oh, gotcha.
But I do more adults.
Okay.
Yes.
Why? Why
But
don't you?
I
Why don't you want to deal with kids?
um there's some multiple reasons. It's not I will do really well with kids, honestly. Um just my personality overall, I do really when I was substituting, I really loved working with elementary age kids, and I had a blast. Challenging, but it was a blast. I don't want to do therapy with that young group, more so of like we have to be aware of our attachment. I think my
Gotcha.
heart, I would my professionalism may go out the door in some ways of like, oh man, this is what you're going through. Like it's
Gotcha.
counter transference. That would be the right term, where you start really feeling what your client is feeling. You like just it'll be to a level where I don't think I'll be of a good help.
Gotcha.
You know
Basically,
what I mean?
you get too attached, and you
Yeah,
start second guess yourself about what to tell them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And even there'll be a lot of parental involvement. And I'm gonna say something that may be upsetting to some people, but parents, I mean, some of the issues children have is from the household.
Yeah.
I'm not saying parents are problems, but some of the issues children experience is household related. It's also school related. And all of that can be a lot. For me, there are people who just only want to work with kids. And I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not built for that. And as therapists, we need to be aware of who we can and cannot work with.
Okay.
So I've identified where I do well, and I
Oh
do
wow.
well with adults.
I always thought kids would be much easier because they're younger. Because
Hmm.
adults, you're pretty set in your ways. That's what my mindset is,
That's true.
and I just figured that'd be harder to deal with.
It's challenging, but therapy overall is challenging, no matter who you're working with.
True. True. That's
Um,
true.
but also know, even though I'm working with adults, it doesn't mean we're not talking about childhood.
Yeah, that is true. But my mindset is that how do I say this? Most adults, once your mind is set in a way, they most likely won't change it, right?
Yeah, and that's where the therapist comes in and, reminds them, like, hey, you wanted to come to therapy for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So if you're making the decision not to change, that's something else to look at. That's another thing to actually give space to. Like, you want change, But when we talk about stuff, there seems to be a bit of resistance. So with what's up with that?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So I yeah, adults only, please.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another great question. Here's one. I don't think it's basic. It says, "Do you think I should consider medication?" Is
Oh
that
wow.
basic?
No, that's not, because that's a huge thing. Because
Okay.
yeah, I had a friend who was bipolar in high
Has
school.
bipolar. Yeah.
Yeah, has bipolar. My bad. And he always used to joke when he gets like just loses it. Oh, I didn't take my
Hmm.
medication today. Uh, yeah. So
It
and
makes
I,
a big difference.
yeah, and I remember asking him why doesn't he like to take it, and he says he just feels different. I don't know. He told me that
Yeah.
he feels more like himself when he doesn't take it. So like I remember
Yeah.
when he has these episodes, I know what's going on, but other people like, like, bro, what are you doing?
Yes. It's not uncommon for individuals with bipolar disorder to discontinue or skip their medication sometimes because, well, when you don't like mania comes with a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Some people feel more creative then and are more creative then. And if that feeling goes away, it's the alternative is deep depression.
Gotcha.
So the idea of medications for bipolar disorder is to help take you so that you're not having so much of the mania and then the deep depression, is to bring you like somewhere here. It's a chemical imbalance, so it's there to
Basically, it
help.
balances you out. That's what I understood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I do recommend that if someone comes in and says, I think I may have bipolar disorder, but I'm not sure, I will have that conversation. Even though I'm a therapist, I don't treat people with medication. I am 100% for medication because therapy will not be any better without it for some people.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's definitely, I can't talk you out of having bipolar, like having different episodes. I can't, that talk therapy doesn't help with that, but
Okay.
medications do.
Yeah.
Um, and even ADHD, that medications, please.
Okay.
I will refer you to someone who does that, like does ADHD assessments, which is usually a psychiatrist or a nurse practitioner, because they are the ones that can talk to you about the various types of medications for that. Therapy will be 100% difficult without treatment for these things.
Okay. I have a question about HDHD. How do I say
A-
this? I see.
ADHD.
I'm sorry, I can't speak right now. How do I say this? I know a bunch of people who had it, but when you're on your medication, how do I? I don't want to sound offensive.
Do your best.
I feel like you're not themselves when you're on the medicine. I don't know if that's offensive or not. They just feel
Well, that
you're different. That's how I say it.
that's what most people consider what medications change their personality. That's part of the stigma of people being against it. And I think that's where education comes in.
Yeah, okay.
Is I encourage people to go talk to a medication specialist or someone who prescribes medications. One, just because you talk to, let's say, a psychiatrist as the example, doesn't mean you leave the office automatically with medications in your hand
Mm-hmm.
and then you're being forced to take it. No, there's like, and this is just me throwing out a number, there's like 6 different types of medications to treat ADHD.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, there's ones that are non-stimulant, which is like the one that's not like Adderall or what's the other one? Xanax.
Okay.
Um, then probably am I thinking of some anyway? Because there's some that are addictive, and so some people cannot take those types of drugs. So there's other ones that can treat ADHD that is not a stimulant or addictive in that way.
Okay.
But you have to have that conversation with someone who specializes in that. I'm not it.
Yeah.
So I tell my clients like, hey, this is what I'm recommending this. Therapy is going to be difficult without this. Why don't you go talk to them, schedule an appointment, get assessed. So you're not saying, oh, I saw these things on the internet, I might have it. Let's
Gotcha.
find out for sure. Once you find out, let's start having some of our sessions can even be us preparing questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and talk about let me know about the different types of medications. What are the side effects? What's the data on this? Because most meds have gone through like some studies, and I know no one wants to read journal articles and stuff like that, but they come with information because they've tested it and there's evidence on how it works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's just me not knowing, but I don't know. I always used to tell him like, "You're different when you take the medication." He's like, "Yeah, I know, but I have to."
Right. In
Yeah.
some ways, you will be different, but also if you're seeing such a big shift in that way, I that may be there something else is going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Meds can get adjusted all the time.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely,
we were really young, so I don't know. It was just I don't know.
yeah. And this is your friend with bipolar disorder,
No, no, no. This
ADHD.
he had ADHD. Reason I remember him because we lived in the same apartment. That's the only time I had a friend live in the same apartment, and because of that, I could
Oh,
just go to his place. I don't have to bother
yeah,
Anna, and I'm like, oh, can you take me there because she has to work. So I used to go to his
yeah.
house all the time. Every Friday,
Mm,
every weekend I'll go to his house. I remember I'll basically I remember one time I spent the whole summer just going over there.
wow, that's awesome.
I went to Six Flags with his mom and dad and stuff like that. I just remembered when I was at a house with him, he usually forgets to take his medication over the summer. And but when school starts, I guess since his mom is like, how do I say this? More in tune with what he's doing when he wakes up and
Mhm.
gets ready, she
Mhm.
makes sure he takes it, and he's a
Yeah.
completely different person. Yeah,
Yes, I've heard that often. I don't like the way I become when I'm taking it,
yeah,
and I really don't have the. It's not in my wheelhouse to say, oh, this is why. That's for you and your doctor to talk about it and figure out how come this happens. Because that is part of the stigma where people are left untreated because they're like, well, I don't want my personality to change, you know?
yeah. Because I've seen a lot of videos online, people saying that they think it's wrong for people to take medication for that because it changes them. That's why I asked you about that question. Yeah,
Yeah. And is it that it's changing them or there's
people feel like
behavioral?
it's not letting you be your true self, basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, if your true self is disruptive in classrooms,
I mean he was very disruptive,
then
but
and that's the part, right? So it's like the medication is helping with that piece, but there's something else. I'm not saying like I've often heard this, so I think it's working with being willing to work to find the right one that works for you.
yeah, he was very disruptive. But I remember what class was it? I think it was history. That was the only class he never like. He was. You could tell if he was interested in something, he would be focused, right?
Yes.
That's why I think. How do I say this? I think as a country we need to be better to not put them on meds, but find out what they like and how stuff is
Yep.
taught to them and help
Yeah,
them better understand it. That's what I'm basically trying to say.
totally. And
Yeah.
it'll sound like I'm contradicting myself when I say I do agree with that too, because I've also met people who are like, oh, well, when I'm doing this, I'm Gucci. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, but usually it involves doing multiple things at once.
That is true.
So
That
I'm like,
is
okay. Like, okay, you're not stimulated. Maybe reading a book when it's too quiet isn't gonna work out for you.
but that history chief I remember, he was a like retired army vet and he was like how do you
Those are
imagine
the best history teachers.
he was very like history was different. We never really read a book, right? He talked about like the experiences and stuff. I remember one time we did an exhibit of a battle. He took us outside and
Oh
we
no way.
yeah, he dressed us up and it was like fight and stuff. So I think that's why that class he liked it so much. I
Yeah.
remember that teacher specifically because out of all the history teachers I had, here's this chapter, read this, you watch the
Yes.
movie, except for him. And I could tell he actually liked his job.
Yeah. I had a very cool history teacher in, was it junior high? Hutch. Yes. Junior high. Mr. Williams. So cool. He gave us an experience,
Yeah.
right?
I
I even
remember
had a speech teacher who just saw me walking down the hallway or in the courtyard, and he was like, "Hey, do your speech here right now on that mole." I'm like, "What?"
and I remember he saw that most of us in his classroom liked anime and he was like, "Oh, do you guys want me to make a club?" I remember he made an anime club at Anderson
Yes,
Elementary. And that was the first
yes.
time I went to like active after school activities ever.
Wow.
Yeah. And like
Okay, talk about relatability in therapy. I have some clients we love anime.
my
We
thing
talk
is
about that.
this is like 2004, 5 and
The beginnings.
this guy's like close to 50 so like I was so shocked he tried to understand, you
Hmm.
know, like he was born like what 40s, 50s, right?
But that doesn't matter when he was born.
Yeah,
It's
I guess, yeah. But my
he
mindset,
tried to find what works for you.
yeah, yeah, but my mindset, like most people born during that time, are very, how do I say this, hard headed, and he
Well,
was
you got to
very,
change that.
he was very open. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I was like,
cool when
wow.
you meet teachers like that. Those teachers have made a huge impact. I would not be a therapist today if it wasn't for my psychology 101 professor I had.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. They made an impact. Um, yeah, this was great. I don't know what we talked about. I'm looking at our chat and we have zero
Zero cop.
questions.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now too.
That's all right. I've had a good time talking to you, cousin.
Me too. Ironically, it was fun. Not in,
Ironic. Oh.
not in a bad way, because I was like, you have no questions. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go in my head.
It's gonna go well.
Yeah, but this was fun.
That's it was fun. Um, I don't know. Should we
I,
end it or do we have one more question?
I think well, this is something for the future. I'm gonna try to get you to go to Twitch and play a game with me.
Oh,
Like
when?
I don't know. I have to think about a game you can play
Okay.
on your PC that will run. That's the problem.
Ooh.
But
Yeah.
that's something for another time.
Well, you know the PC you recommended to me, that's what I have.
Yeah, and that's why that's mostly more for like office work stuff like that. So it's not really
And
meant for
that's what we do.
yeah. That's not for gaming and
Yeah.
stuff. So I'll think of something.
Okay. Well, I have something exciting.
Oh, what is that?
Um, my friend Enrique, do you remember Enrique?
Did his sister like Dragon Ball? I might think I'm somebody
Oh
else.
no, that's Rachel and Joseph.
Okay, no. Enrique.
Enrique, well, they were always around for like holidays and stuff, especially when we were all out of school. Um, anyway, he's a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and he and I had this idea. I've been wanting to do more like speaking engagements,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to visit his school when I come home sometime next year
Mm-hmm.
and spend some time with some of the students there to
Oh God,
talk about stuff.
we have some spam bots in our chat.
I see.
Hide. I'm trying to hide it.
At least people are here.
Nah.
We're being botted right now.
Yeah, I just removed them. Hopefully it's gone.
But yeah,
That's cool. Wow.
I am stoked. So that's what I'm gonna have brewing for our next season. Um,
What grade does he
is
teach?
high school.
Oh, that's the worst. Nah,
See, you're part of the problem.
nah. Like I always told Bobby, if she ever become a teacher, I would never want to do high school kids, fam. Cause some of them,
Well, that
some of them are assholes. I'm sorry, they are.
okay, but I'm not going there to detect assholes or not. We're gonna talk about mental health.
A lot of them need them though. A lot of them need it. I'm just being honest with
Right. So it's me doing my Gen Z interview, but more with a big group.
you. Yeah.
I have questions. I'm really fascinated by um our Gen Zers.
Actually, they're probably more in tune with themselves than most generation. That's what I
Yeah,
would
they
think.
are,
Yeah, so that probably shouldn't
for
be a
sure.
problem.
It's not gonna be.
Nah, our
I'm
generation.
gonna work really hard to come up with some questions and hear them out.
They probably push you to the limit. Cause
That's okay.
Jet Generation is wild, fam. They're so
I'm
open,
willing.
just so open to a bunch of things, and they question everything. That's what amazes me about them.
Yeah. Being open should allow you to have questions, I would say.
True. Well, I think that's it.
So that is it. Thank you, bots, for showing up.
That is so wild.
Well, thank you for doing this with me, and sorry to whomever showed up at 4:30 or 6:30 when we were not on because of technical issues.
Yeah, that was mostly my fault. I didn't even think to go to Google settings and actually check where my audio was going through.
Yeah, sorry. Well, okay, so next month we'll be live again,
Yep.
and if we need to hop on sooner, someone should let us know in the comments. Like, hey, can y'all come back and talk to us before a month? We will make that happen. Until then, we'll see you in a month.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we're good.